What's up, everyone? And today I'm bringing a deck profile on my Krawler deck. Now, Krawler's always been like a deck I've had a little bit of a soft spot for because Krawler was essentially the first archetype I ever had or ran. So, definitely really happy seeing it get some support and some really good support. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. First, I run 3 Krawler Soma. Soma does it all for this deck now. With Soma, we're able to take out some of these like niche cards, and it just really puts in so much work. First, you target face-up monster you control. Special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, change it to face-down defense position. Well, face-down position. And also cannot change its battle position for the rest of the turn, which is not really a downside because usually going first, you're going to normal summon it. Special summon, change it face-down, and for Crawlers, you can just flip them up during the next turn. So, but the additional effect is where you can reduce this card's level by 2 or 4, and if you do, special summon Crawler monsters with different names from your hand or deck equal to the amount reduced. So, if I reduce its level to 4, then I can summon 1. If I reduce it to 2, I can summon 2 Crawlers from my deck. We really don't need a lot of the cards we were running before because it essentially does it all now. It summons itself, specials 2 from deck, and it can change a Crawler face down, or technically it doesn't have to be a Crawler, it can be any monster, so, but most likely you're going to use it on one of your Crawlers. And now, I also run 2 Deus Ex Krawler. Before I wasn't really running it because the only way to really get it out was through the effect of the Krawler Goliath. And while that is still kind of true, there are other ways around that, like mainly through the effect of the Mind Meld, because if you use the effect of the Mind Meld, it forces your opponent to bounce one of your Crawlers back to your hand, which will trigger the Crawler's effect to special 2 from graveyard, or 2 from deck, one of them being Deus Ex Krawler. Most likely, unless you already have a Deus Ex Krawler on the field. Deus Ex Krawler just really puts in so much work. First off, when your opponent activates a card effect that targets this face-down monster, quick effect, you can change this card to face-up defense position. To get that activation, if you do, destroy that card. And after this card was flipped face-up, while it's in the monster zone, negate all monster effects activated on your opponent's field. So, this in tandem with a card like Pawns or Junk Sleep or anything that's going to flip face-up, it's just going to be a negate, more or less. I run the 3 Krawler Gleal. Gleal, when it is flipped, special summon a Krawler monster from hand or graveyard in face-up attack position or face-down defense position. So you can use it to get the Deus Ex Krawler. Technically, you can use it for Soma, but most likely you're not going to use it for Soma. And unlike Deus Ex Krawler and Soma, all the other Crawlers have an effect to where if they leave the field, if the face-up card leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon 2 Crawlers from your deck. I'm really struggling with words here. So, like, let's say I normal the Goliath and they compulse it. Then I can special summon 2 Crawlers from the deck. I can summon Soma. I can summon Deus Ex. I can do so much with that. I also run the 3 Receptor, which is the Searcher. When it is flipped face up, add a Krawler from deck to hand. Spine is your monster removal. Axon is the spell and trap removal. And Ranveer is the recurrence. So when it's flipped face up, destroy a monster. Flip face up, destroy a spell trap. Flip face up, return 2 Krawler monsters from the graveyard to your hand. Now next, a new card I've actually added. Girsu the Orcus Mech Knight. This was actually a tech that I didn't even notice until I was like looking up ways to improve this deck. So, when it is normal or special summoned, you can send 1 Orcus or World Legacy card from your deck to your graveyard. Then if there are 2 or more other monsters in this card's column, you can treat this card as a tuner. That part doesn't matter, but it has an additional effect too if you control no other monsters. Special a token. So yeah, free link too. So not only will it foolish one of the World Legacy cards, it allows you to go into a link 2, which can essentially grab a World Legacy card from the deck. Moving on to the spells, I run 3 World Legacy and Shadow. Honestly, if you want to, you can probably actually cut this card out now. I see some builds actually cutting it out. I still think it's a good card to run, but we really don't need it as much as we needed it before. Because with Soma, we can get to a Link 2 fairly easy. And that's really what the World Legacy and Shadow main goal was. Although you can still use it for the extra summon and as well as the that little protection. Also run 3 World Legacy Survivor. Survivor, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if you do, add 1 activated Krawler monster or World Legacy card to your hand and send the rest to the graveyard. So, really cool. So, most oftentimes you're going to be grabbing out of the Pawns or the Mind Meld. Occasionally you might grab a Krawler or World Legacy and Shadow. That's really good at getting you to the very important cards in this deck like Pawns and Mind Meld. Or Soma if you happen to get into that too. So all around, well, very good card. I run 2 full Sparrow Goods. Kind of run it for the Mind Meld. Mind Meld, when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to special summon a Krawler monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard to zone a Link monster points 2. So that's definitely really good. You can summon the Soma, you can summon the Deus Ex Krawler. So many different options, to be honest. So definitely want to have the Mind Meld engrave. Even if you open it, it's still good. I also run 2 Pod Desires. Extravagance and Prosperity aren't cards we can really run, but since most of the cards are 3-ofs, that makes Pod Desires actually not too bad. I guess the only one that we don't run 3 of is the Deus Ex, but drawing 2 is always good. I also run 3 Super Poly. This is kind of like the, instead of like a hand trap, I got like a board breaker. Because it works against tier elements, sprites, sort of, depending on what you're running. And it's just really, all around, a really good card to really beat the meta. Moving on to the traps. I run 3 World Legacy and Pawns. World Legacy and Pawns allows you to target 1 face-down monster you control and change it to face-up attack position. And then you can shuffle 1 Krawler monster from your graveyard into the main deck. Then target 1 face-up monster you control, change it to face-down defense position. Unfortunately, you can only activate 1 of these effects per turn. Most often time, it's going to be to flip a monster face-up. And since this is a trap, you can use this on your opponent's turn to flip Spine to destroy a monster, Axon to destroy a spell's trap, Deus Ex Krawler to negate, and also run the 3 Mind Meld. Mind Meld is really good. So the way Mind Meld works is when your opponent activates a monster effect while I control a Krawler monster, the activated effect becomes return 1 face-up monster your opponent controls to their hand, which will trigger the effect of the Crawlers to special summon 2 from your deck. Now, of course, for that, you definitely want to leave a Krawler on the field that they will want to target. Otherwise, they'll just target something that may not get you the most results. But it's also got a graveyard effect too, where you can banish it to special summon or target 1 link, special summon Krawler monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard to the zone that target points to, face down defense position. Also run 1 Junk Sleep. To be honest, I was going to take this out entirely because with the cards we have now, Pawns is much more searchable. But there are going to be some scenarios where a Junk Sleep might be nice. And I had an extra spot, so I just threw the Junk Sleep in there. You can switch it out for a hand trap if you want, or an upstart, or whatever you want to do. But I feel like running 1 Junk Sleep is fine. It's not a card you want to see multiple of, though. And if you don't see it, it doesn't really change it too much. It's just, if you see it, that's cool. If you don't, oh well. Moving to the extra deck. I run the 3 X Krawler Qualiarch. Qualiarch has different effects depending on how many Krawler monsters you control. If you control 2, all monsters you control gain 300 attack. 4, your opponent cannot activate cards effects during the battle phase. And 6, all your monsters can attack directly. And has a cool effect to where if it leaves the field, you special summon 2 Crawlers from your graveyard. I also run the 1 Synapsis and the 1 Neurogos. Synapsis and Neurogos more or less have a kind of similar effect. One doubles the damage inflicted, and another can attack twice, so it really depends on the scenario. If you want to kill multiple monsters, obviously you're going to go for the Synapses, and if you want to do double battle damage, you're going to go for Norogos. But both of them have the same effect if they're sent to the graveyard to special summon 2 Crawlers from grave. Also run 1 Ib, or Lib the World Key Blade Master. Definitely a very important card you must run. If this card is link summoned, or during your main phase, you can set 1 World Legacy spell trap directly from your deck, but it cannot be activated the turn while you have no World Legacy monster in your graveyard. So that's where you can get your World Legacy pawns. You can send the pawns off the Girsu, then, well, not send the pawns off the Girsu. You usually send a Mind Meld off the Girsu. And if this link summon card is sent to the graveyard as link material, you shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. So, more or less, it's for that set of the World Legacy card from the deck. I also run 1 Subterra Behemoth Fiendus. Really good with flip monsters, but this comes up very rarely. I also run the 1 Nightmare Unicorn, as well as an Access Code Talker to kind of close games out, which is definitely really needed in this deck because it's a flip-based deck. As well as the 1 Apollosa if we're not able to go the Access Code route. Of course, I got a Starving Venom Dragon and a Predaplant Dragostapelia. I definitely run the Garuda, but I don't have a Garuda, so to be honest, whatever Super Polar targets you think are best is what I put here with these 2. Also run 1 Sky Cavalry Centuria, 1 Downard, and lastly, the 1 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. So what do you think of Crawlers? You think it's a pretty good deck? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next video make. Bye.